entering week 2, going to talk about every SEC quarterback matchup this coming up weekend, with the exception of Georgia, Tennessee, and South Carolina, because they're facing FCS opponents, and you want their starters, or you want your starters to be out in the third quarter. But we're going to do deep dives on OU, Michigan, Florida, USF, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Arizona State, Mississippi State, and a few others. Talk about what each SEC quarterback needs to do to have success against these opposing defenses here. Again, week 2, first time doing this. Every week we're going to go through and preview every SEC quarterback. Then we'll start having a recap show of every SEC quarterback as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's talk about John Mateer against Michigan, the biggest game of the weekend, especially if you're an SEC fan. Let's talk about what John Mateer needs to do to have success against Michigan. I got 3 keys for Mateer to accomplish and to lean into to have success against Michigan. And then we're going to talk about Michigan's defense and what I would do if I was a DC going up against John Mateer. And obviously I'm not, and thank goodness I'm not, because I would get wrecked. But we'll talk about it anyways, what Michigan's defense can potentially do to stop John Mateer. So if I'm Mateer, I know you had a big game against an FCS team last weekend. That's great, fantastic. The question going in is, can you do this against top defenses? That was the question all offseason, and now you have the opportunity to prove it. So if I'm a tier, I want to lean into my strengths based off of what we showed last year. So strength number 1, my athleticism. I want to lean into my athleticism. I want to demonstrate the ability to run the ball and to make plays, whether the plays break down or whether it's by design against Michigan's defense, right? So Mateer had 149 attempts last year. Only 46 were scrambles. So scramble runs do happen, but he scrambles to pass. He wants to scramble to open up the pass, right? So I want to utilize my athleticism. He's going to bring more creativity to this offense. I think we may show it, or maybe demonstrate a bit more against Michigan here. Again, he had over 1,000 yards on the ground, not including sacks last year. So lean into my strength. Key number 1 for Mateer against Michigan, lean into my athleticism. Key number 2, the deep ball ability. We talked about this all offseason. Mateer had 25 completions of the ball, was thrown 20 or more yards down field. Last year, Arnold and Hawkins had a combined 8, I believe. So you want to lean into that. You want to do it off of several different ways. Number 1, do it by design, right? Whether it's off play action, straight drop back, do it by design. Number 2, it kind of goes hand in hand with the first key. When the play breaks down, he has the ability to push the ball downfield from a scrambling component of things, right? So that's key number 2, deep ball ability that can hopefully open up the offense, hopefully open up underneath throws against Michigan. And the last key, the third key, and again, there's more keys than this, but these are our main keys. The third key, being able to adapt what the defense throws at you. So when we talk about Michigan's defense here in a second, I think Michigan is going to try to confuse you, right? So be able to adapt what the defense throws at you. He did a really good job of that last year against the blitz and when the defense dropped 7 or 8. So last year he had 15 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions when the defense dropped 7 or 8 defenders. So whenever he had 7 or 8 guys he had to throw against, no pressure. He was also had 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 8.7 yards per attempt in the defense blitz. So very similar numbers, very similar TD to interception ratio, very similar yards per attempt. He had success against a variation of defenses last year, and we'll need to continue to do this against Michigan. This might be the most important key. I think he's going to make some plays. He's probably going to hit on a few deep balls, or at least have those attempts. But I think if he can adapt to what the defense throws at him, take care of the ball is an obvious key that you can say for every quarterback. But if he can adapt to what the defense throws at him, I think Mateer can have some, more than some, he can have success. And hopefully, if you're an OU fan, lead OU to a victory against Michigan this weekend. So let's talk about Michigan's defense real quick. Let's talk about, if I'm Michigan's defense, what I would do to potentially stop John Mateer. And if you're an OU fan, let us know your thoughts here in the comments below as well. So last week against New Mexico, again, it's New Mexico, take it with a grain of salt, but they did have success last week, right? 3 interceptions, only giving up 4.5 yards per attempt through the air. They had 3 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. Again, it was New Mexico. New Mexico found some funky ways to get 17 points on the board, but overall, Michigan's defense didn't give up any big plays. They had several turnovers, and they kept the ball in front with a lot of tackles for loss. So they did what they're supposed to do against New Mexico. Congrats, right? So how will they defend Mateer? How will they try to take away his athleticism? How will they try to take away his deep ball ability? Well, I think they're going to try to confuse him. They're going to try to mix it up. They're going to trust. I think if you're Michigan's defense, if I'm the DC, I'm trusting Mateer hasn't seen speed like we have. I'm trusting that Mateer hasn't seen the ability for defense to disguise like we have. So my main key in trying to stop Mateer be pre-snap to post-snap confusion. I'm going to try to force him to take checkdowns time and time again, trying to confuse him, trying to get him to take checkdowns, and hopefully he gets impatient, and hopefully he pushes the ball downfield and he's not supposed to, and hopefully I can make some turnovers. Right? Hopefully I can make an interception or two if I'm Michigan's defense. I'm basically going to make John Mateer prove to me that he is that good. And if you're an OU fan and if you believe in Mateer's ability, if you're John Mateer and you believe in your ability, which you do, you're like, bet, game on. Make me prove it to you, and I will. I'll push the ball downfield. I'll showcase my athleticism, and I'll adapt to whatever defense you throw at me. So if you're an OU fan or an SEC fan or just a college football fan in general, let us know your thoughts about Mateer. What do you think Mateer needs to do in order to have success against Michigan's defense? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Again, we only have 3 keys for Mateer. We could talk a lot more, but we have other games to get into. So again, let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll go on to the next game. Let's go on Ole Miss versus Kentucky, the only SEC or conference game this weekend, right? We got Zach Calzada, Austin Simmons. Let's talk about what each quarterback needs to do in order to have success, in order to have, at least here Calzada, a bounce-back game against Ole Miss. Let's go with Calzada first. I got 3 keys for Zach Calzada, and then I want to talk about what the Ole Miss defense, if I was Ole Miss defense, what I would do against Calzada. Then we'll talk about Austin Simmons. We'll talk about the 3 keys for him to have success against Kentucky's defense, and then, again, if I was Kentucky's DC, how I would try to attempt to stop Simmons. Okay, so let's go Zach Calzada first. Coming off a game against Toledo, 10 of 23, 1 interception, 3.7 yards per attempt. I think he had like 80-something yards passing. Did have a rushing touchdown, I believe. But he graded out. He was our lowest graded QB spot. He had our lowest rating out of week 1 for any SEC quarterback facing an FBS opponent. Just wasn't a great start, right? Just wasn't a very good game at all, which we'll get into. But I think you have to give him the opportunity to get better. There's only one game. There's time to improve. We've heard Kentucky talk about it's too early to pull the plug right now, and I totally agree. It's only one game. But he's going to have to improve to, 1, keep the job, and 2, have success against Ole Miss. So what are the 3 keys for Calzada against Ole Miss? Number 1, improved accuracy. His adjusted completion percentage is like 56%. Right? That's just not going to get it done. You need to have improved accuracy to keep drives alive and keep Ole Miss's offense off the field, keep your defense recovering, keep them fresh. They can play up to par. I think that's by far the most important thing for Calzada this week. It doesn't have to be huge plays. It doesn't have to be a home run pass. It just comes on keeping drives alive. Improved accuracy, right? Improved accuracy means no turnovers. Improved accuracy means converting on third downs. Improved accuracy means keeping your defense off the field. Key number 2. If you want to win, you are going to have to hit on some deep shots. It doesn't have to be 2, 3, 20-plus yard completions, but it's going to have to be more than 10 yards, right? His yards per attempt of 3.7. You can't and won't win against Ole Miss by having those type of attempts, by having a 3.7 yards per attempt stat line. Even if your defense is stout, you're just not going to be able to drive the ball. You're not going to be able to push the ball downfield and win against Ole Miss. So you're going to have to hit on some deep shots. Again, I don't think it has to be a bomb per se, but it's going to have to be at least an intermediate type throw, and you have to make several of them to beat Ole Miss. And key number 3, you're going to have to make throws on third down, make some plays in the red zone, come up big in big situations. Calzada's QBR was 25.8 last week. Again, there's a reason why he was the lowest rated quarterback in the SEC per our model, and this was one of them, not being able to convert on these big type of on these big downs, right? So he's going to have to make some big throws on third downs. He's going to make some big plays in big time situations and probably convert in the red zone as well. So those are the 3 keys for Calzada. And I don't think anyone would disagree with that. It just needs to be overall improved play from the quarterback position if you want to win against Ole Miss. Improved accuracy, hit on some deep shots, maybe more so intermediate deep shots, and then make throws on third down in the red zone, some big completions. If you're Ole Miss's defense, what are you going to do to prevent Calzada from having a bounce back game? How do you prepare for a quarterback who's shown flashes in the past, but week 1 was a struggle? Well, I'm going to give him the opportunity to beat me deep. I'm going to show him that he has to prove that he can beat me, right? I'm going to take away all the easy throws. I don't want him to get any type of rhythm. I know I just talked about Calzada being accurate. I don't want him to be accurate. I'm trying to take away those easy throws and say, hey, beat me deep. See if you can do it. Make these tough throws. I'm going to challenge him to make those tough throw. So can he do it? Well, we'll see in a few weeks, right? If you're a Kentucky fan, let me know your thoughts on Calzada in the comments below. Same with Ole Miss, if you think he can do it or not. Again, we're some random guys on YouTube. I have no idea if he will. This is just me talking if I'm the Ole Miss defense. All right, let's talk about Austin Simmons. Let's talk about what he needs to do to have success, what he needs to do to improve, what he needs to do to take the next step, and to make sure Ole Miss doesn't get upset by Kentucky again, right? Like, we got 3 keys for Simmons, and then we are going to talk about Kentucky's defense and how they could potentially stop him, how I would stop him if I was the Kentucky DC. Again, thank God I'm not, because you would have no chance of winning. So Austin Simmons, key number 1 in order to beat Kentucky, I think it's fairly simple. Avoid turnovers. He had 2 interceptions last year. Had a fumble, not last year, against Georgia State last week, had a fumble. I can't remember if they lost the fumble or not, but he still fumbled it. So that's 3 potential turnover plays that he had against Georgia State. You don't want to give Kentucky a chance to stay in the game. If you're Ole Miss, if you think that you are that much better than Kentucky, if you think you're a double-digit favorite, which right now you're 10.5 point favorite, if you think you're that good, you don't want to give Kentucky a short field. You don't want to give Calzada and the Kentucky offense a chance to get some momentum, right? You don't want that to happen. So how do you do that? Is key number 1, avoid making turnovers. Key number 2, take what the defense gives you. Be accurate. And that's something that he was last week. Like, this is an obvious statement, right, for a quarterback. Hey, what's the key? Hey, be accurate, right? That's obvious. I get that. But he was the 3rd most accurate quarterback in the SEC for any quarterback playing an FBS opponent. His adjusted completion percentage was 76.7. That's like 20% above what Calzada's was that we just talked about. So you want to continue to be accurate. It's going to keep drives alive. It's going to keep you on the field. It's trusting in Kiffin's ability to scheme open receivers. It's trusting in Kiffin's game plan that's going to help you be accurate. So I think key number 2 is just be accurate here. You don't need to push the ball downfield all that much. I think if you're accurate, if you hit on these completions, Kiffin is able to scheme open. You're able to stay on the field. And key number 3, he didn't need to use his legs much last week. It may be a little bit different here. If Kentucky does take away those deep throws, if Kentucky does take away some of what Ole Miss wants to do passing the ball offensively, I think he may need to use his legs a bit more here, and we may see that. I'm not saying he needs to rush for 100 yards or have a Jackson Dart type rushing performance, but we may need to see him utilize his legs a bit more. He did have 2 runs last week against Georgia State of 10-plus yards, but ultimately you didn't need to run your quarterback to beat Georgia State. You may need to against Kentucky, depending how stout Kentucky's defense is and depending if Kentucky's offense is able to get going and depending if you're not able to hit on some deep throws. So those are my 3 keys for Simmons. Avoid turnovers, be accurate when you're called to be accurate, right? Especially in these intermediate throws that Kiffin is hopefully going to design and scheme open some receivers. And then be able to use your legs probably more than last week. So if you're Kentucky's defense, how are you game planning to stop Austin Simmons? Well, this is only his 2nd start, right? If you're the play caller defensively for Kentucky, I want to take advantage of him not having many reps. I want to confuse the hell out of him. Like, I want to trust that my defense is going to be better with all my reps that I've already had compared to a quarterback who has a lot of potential but hasn't had very many reps, right? So I want to confuse him. I want to bring pressure when he does not expect it. I want to drop 7 or 8 defenders when he does not expect it. For Kentucky to win, it will be because their defense was able to take advantage of a quarterback making his 2nd career start. So I need to lean into that. I need to try to confuse Austin Simmons. And obviously, if you're Simmons, you know that going in. You're getting prepped by some of the best offensive minds in all of college football. And so if you're Simmons, you're like, great, try to confuse me. I'll trust myself to read it and make the throw. So if you're an Ole Miss fan, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Or if you're a Kentucky fan, what do you think Simmons needs to do in order to have success against Kentucky? If you're a Kentucky fan, what do you think your defense needs to do in order to have success against Ole Miss? Let's go ahead and let's go to what game next? Let's go talk about DJ Lagway against South Florida. What are the 3 keys? What are the keys? What do you just want to see from Lagway against a team that you're 17-ish point favorite, at least right now and on Tuesday? What do you want to see from Lagway against South Florida? This is one of my most intriguing games of the weekend, not because of Lagway. I think Lagway is going to have success. I'm excited to see Lagway. I think it's more of making sure Florida's defense can slow down Byron Brown for USF, the South Florida quarterback, who I'm pretty high on. That's a whole different discussion. But let's go ahead and talk about Lagway. How much will you have to show? Is there a chance you have to show it all? Hopefully not if you're a Florida fan. Let's talk about Lagway. Let's talk about these keys for success. Let's talk about what I want to see development-wise. And let's talk about, if I'm South Florida's defense, how am I trying to slow down DJ Lagway? Let's put ourselves in South Florida's defensive analysts, assistants, and coordinator shoes of how we're going to stop Lagway. So we know Lagway can hit the deep ball. He was the most accurate quarterback in the SEC last year in balls thrown 20 yards or more downfield. We know that. We know he's athletic. Even when he was hampered by injury, we know that he's athletic. And we know that he was firm in the pocket, able to shrug off defenders, keep his eyes downfield. So what do I really want to see from DJ Lagway? I want to see the developmental areas. Here, I got two kind of main areas for Lagway. Let's see if I can remember where they are. But I got two areas for Lagway to develop. I think South Florida is a good opportunity to do that. So a lot of deep shots last year from DJ Lagway were off of play action. He's a bit more comfortable utilizing play action, getting defenses out of position, and then hitting on that, which is fine. It's part of the offense. That's what Napier does. That's what you want to do. But I do want to see him develop in the ability to have more success, be more accurate on straight dropbacks, develop without the use of play action. So last year, utilizing play action, his completion percentage was 64.8. I don't have the adjusted pulled up, but his completion percentage was 64.8 off of play action. Without using play action, it was down by nearly 10%. It was 55.2. So his completion percentage on a straight drop back was 55.2. Still had success, still pushed the ball downfield, just wasn't nearly as accurate. So I want to see DJ Lagway develop that accuracy and develop the ability to not have to have defenders moved out of position. That's not necessarily bad to have to do that. You want your quarterback to do that. But hopefully this is a game where you can develop that and improve on that area. Another area I want Lagway to develop, getting rid of the ball a bit quicker. So last year, he held on the ball longer than 2.5 seconds, 62% of his dropbacks. That was one of he was one of the quarterbacks in the SEC to hold on the ball the longest, which is common for a true freshman and also for an athletic quarterback who utilizes his legs to make plays. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but you still want to stay in rhythm. You still want the ball to be out quickly here. So focus on getting rid of the ball quickly. This would be a problem if you didn't have a big arm and wasn't athletic, right? Like QBs that can move tend to hold on to the ball a bit longer, but at the same time, you want to stay in rhythm. So those are two main things I want to see from Lagway. I want the ball to come out a bit quicker, stay in rhythm, and I want the ability, or at least want to have the opportunity to demonstrate the ability to develop without utilizing play action. I know he's got a deep ball. I know he's athletic. I know he can shrug off defenders. I think Lagway has the opportunity to be the best quarterback in the SEC this year. If you watch the channel, you know that, right? But there's still areas to develop, and South Florida, I think, is a better club than people probably realize, especially, or at least after last week. Maybe you have a better idea with USF winning, 34-7. So let's talk about South Florida's defense and how they can potentially stop DJ Lagway, what they can potentially do, or what they may try to do to stop Lagway. If I'm South Florida, I'm just trying to make him go underneath all game. I'm trying to keep it simple. I'm trying to prevent the deep play. That's Lagway's strength. I want him to beat me time and time and time again, converting on short throws, right? I think that's your best bet if you are USF, right? You may try to take some risk and disguise defenses from the pre-snap to post-snap, but I want to keep everything in front of me. They held Maddox Matson, the Boise State quarterback, to only 4.9 yards per attempt. I'm just trying to find that exact same model. Now, if you're Lagway, if you're Florida's offense, you're saying it doesn't matter what you throw at me, I'm still going to complete the deep ball when I want to. And if you take it away, no big deal. I'll adjust. I'll adapt. I'm in my second year being the starting quarterback at Florida. Now I'll hit these underneath throws and trust my receivers and my running backs to make plays. And then I'll hurt you so much underneath, you'll start creeping up your defenders, and that's when I take my shot. So that's your mindset if you're DJ Lagway, right? But still, if you're South Florida's defense, that's how I'm trying to slow down Lagway. I'm trying to just play prevent. Florida fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you want to see from Lagway against South Florida? What are the keys? Again, I talked about his strengths, and I talked about these two areas that I want to see development. Not necessarily improvement, I guess, but development. Get rid of the ball a bit quicker, and then utilizing, or not having to utilize play action to have accurate passes. That's what I want to see from Lagway, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you are a Florida fan. Okay, let's keep moving along. Let's talk about Arizona State against Mississippi State. Let's talk about what Blake Shapen needs to do. What are three keys for Blake Shapen to have success against Arizona State this upcoming week? And I think right now Arizona State is a 6.5-point favorite, depending where you are looking at, depending what day you're watching this video. It's a Tuesday morning right now. My biggest takeaway from Blake Shapen is, can he do what he did against Southern Miss and then some? I think you have to play how he played against Southern Miss with some improvement. If you watch the game, I thought Shapen played pretty well. After the game, you had Coach Huff, the Southern Miss head coach, say some really nice things to Jeff Lebby after the game if you saw them on midfield. So I was impressed by Shapen. But you have to repeat the good and eliminate the bad. That equals more consistency. So what are the 3 keys? Well, key number 1, the accuracy component. He was the most accurate quarterback in the SEC for week 1 of any SEC quarterback playing an FBS opponent. His adjusted completion percentage was 90%. Again, the most accurate SEC quarterback last week. Here, I do think Southern Miss will end up being one of the top teams in the Sun Belt. I'm really big on Coach Huff. I think Southern Miss brought in a lot of good players, so I do think it was a fairly decent test for Mississippi State and Blake Shapen here. So you want to lean into your accuracy. I think you're going to have to continue to be accurate even facing a better defense. Key number 2, and this comes with eliminating the bad. Eliminate turnovers. You had 1 interception and also had a fumble. I can't remember if Southern Miss actually got the ball, but you did have a fumble. So you had 2 turnover opportunity plays. You don't want to give Arizona State more opportunities, especially if it's down the red zone, especially giving them a short field, right? So eliminate those turnovers. That's part of being a bit more consistent. And key number 3, convert on big downs. I think 3rd down and red zone opportunities. I think if you can stay close in the game, hell, you may even be up in the 4th quarter, you're still going to have to be able to convert on some of these big downs here. This is going to keep drives alive. It's going to keep Arizona State off the field, and it's going to keep your defense off the field as well, getting rest, being able to recover, going through their game plan. I think this is a huge key for Blake Shapen and for Mississippi State in general in order to beat Arizona State, converting on big downs, 3rd down and red zone opportunities. That's like a does statement. Well, whatever. I'm still saying it here, right? So the 3 keys for Shapen: be accurate, eliminate turnovers, and convert on big downs. Here, if you're Arizona State's defense, how are you trying to stop Blake Shapen? How are you trying to stop a veteran quarterback who's coming off of a really solid week 1 performance and win? Well, I'm going to give you the underneath routes. I'm not going to let you take anything deep. I'm giving you these underneath routes. Can you march up and down the field time after time after time? If you can do it once, great. Twice, okay, fine. But can you do it again and again and again and convert on touchdowns and not field goals? That's what I'm doing if I'm Arizona State's defense. I'm forcing Blake Shapen to beat me over and over and over again for the course of a full game here, and maybe he gets impatient. Maybe he tries to take a shot, and that's when I can capitalize on that opportunity, right? But again, if I'm Arizona State's defense, I'm giving you these underneath routes, and I'm hoping you get impatient, and I'm daring you to, or I'm giving you the opportunity to beat me over and over and over. Again, if you're Blake Shapen, you say, bet, no big deal. That's perfect. That's my offense anyways, right? So if you're a Mississippi State fan, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think the keys are for Shapen against Arizona State's defense? What do you want to see from Blake Shapen? What do you think needs to happen for Shapen and Mississippi State to win here? So those are the 4 main big games I'm talking about. I know Kansas and Mizzou is a bigger game. We do have some on that. But let's go ahead. We're going to talk about A&M and Utah State. We're going to talk about Arkansas State, Texas, San Jose State. Kind of hit on these, and we'll hit on every single quarterback, at least briefly, in the SEC besides the schools playing the FCS opponents, right? Besides Georgia, besides Tennessee, besides South Carolina. Not spending time on that. Your starter should be out in the 3rd quarter. So let's go ahead and talk about Marcel Reed. Let's talk 2 or 3 minutes what we want to see from Marcel Reed against Utah State. Here I got 3 keys I still want to see. And then let's talk about what Utah State will try to do defensively to take away Marcel Reed's success. So if I'm Marcel Reed, if I'm A&M, if I'm an A&M fan, A&M's offense, whatever you are, what do you want to see from Reed? Well, I think you want to see the exact same thing that you saw against UTSA, with maybe the exception hitting on that deep ball that was missed. If just demonstrate the exact same thing against Utah State. Utah State is they're probably not as good as UTSA, so hopefully you can demonstrate and continue to get better and develop. Key number 1. Run the offense exactly how you did against UTSA. You were in control. You were comfortable. You were in sync. You did what you're supposed to do. So do what you're supposed to do against Utah State. Go through your progressions. Don't be in a rush. Don't be in a hurry to tuck the ball and run, right? Stay in the pocket. Read the defense. Go through progressions just like you did against UTSA. Second key I want to see from Reed against Utah State. I want to continue to demonstrate my hopefully improved accuracy that was talked about in camp and that I demonstrated here against UTSA. He was 3 of 6 on balls throwing 20 yards or more downfield, even with that wide open miss. I know he missed open receiver, but still 3 of 6 in those type of throws is fairly good, especially when you only had 10 completions of those throws last year. So go through progressions, hitting those deep balls, continue to improve in your accuracy. Utah State's a good team to be able to do that. And then key number 3, something I want to see, maybe not too much though, because I don't want to showcase certain plays, but we saw more play action. That was something we talked a lot about this offseason. Reed was 11 of 12 for a $166, 13.8 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks off of play action. His yards per attempt were only 5.7 off of straight drop backs, right? So utilizing more play action gets the defense out of position, and it's able to utilize Reed's ability as a runner and their run game to hit some deep throws there. So maybe I don't want to see a ton of play action here. Maybe I want to hold those plays back for the bigger games coming up. But still, it was nice to see more play action. I think it helped Reed get comfortable. So if you're the defense for Utah State, I think there's 2 options. Number 1, sell out to take the run away. Like that's the first option. Like, hey, I'm just taking the run away. Marcel Reed beat me. Option number 2, play prevent the big plays. Get cover 3, cloud, whatever you want to do. Keep everything in front. If you're Reed, if you're A&M, it shouldn't matter what Utah State does. If they play prevent, no big deal. I'll hit on underneath throws. If they try to take away the run, no big deal. I'm Marcel Reed. I'm better than you. I got better receivers than you do DBs. I'll hit you deep. So it shouldn't really matter, right? But still, if I'm Utah State, I'm going I'm utilizing one of those 2 strategies. I'm trying to sell out to take away the run, or I'm playing prevent here. If you're an A&M fan, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you want to see from Marcel Reed against Utah State? Just repeat the performance against UTSA. That's my biggest thing, and hopefully the defense doesn't give up as many points, and you can breathe a little earlier than you did against UTSA. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you want to see from Marcel Reed against Utah State? All right, let's go ahead and talk about Arch Manning versus San Jose State. Let's talk about 3 keys for Arch against San Jose State. 3 keys. What do you want to see from Arch Manning against San Jose State? Here, and listen, I thought he played better than what people are saying against Ohio State. If you're a Texas fan, I'm sure you've consumed a ton of content, and you've probably listened to some smart people talk about how tough it is to play at the Horseshoe. You got to give quarterbacks the opportunity to develop, right? I'm not saying he played good, but damn, I thought it was a lot better than people are making it out to be. I know he missed throws. I know he was inconsistent, but he still hit on some big throws. He still had 3 completions where the ball was thrown 20 yards or more downfield. You were still in a position to tie the game late in the fourth quarter. You made some throws in the fourth quarter that were big, and you demonstrated some athleticism. But you do want to clean up some areas of improvements, and hopefully this is a good game to do so. So what are 3 areas, what are 3 keys, if you're a Texas fan, that you want to see from Arch against San Jose State this week? Well, I think key number 1, you want to make the throws you're supposed to make. Again, it's been hammered home. It's been hammered home about these throws that he missed, the opening throw on the play action rollout. I get it. So you want to make the throws you are supposed to make. Utilize the talent gap here. Get some confidence back. I don't think he lacks any confidence. I just think it was a really tough game against Ohio State. But key number 1, make the throws you want to make. Key number 2, I think you still want to hit in a few deep throws. It doesn't have to be anything like exotic or unique. You still want to hit in some deep throws to help open up the offense underneath. You shouldn't need help against San Jose State to open up the offense underneath, but you still want to hit on some deep throws. Those are my main keys. Make throws you're supposed to make. Hit on some deep throws. You should be up by 4 touchdowns at halftime, hopefully, right? Give or take. Hopefully Arch is out of the game in the fourth quarter. That's the key. And the last key, you just want to shut people the hell up. Now, I get it. If you have a big game against San Jose State, people are still going to talk. People are still going to say, oh, it's San Jose State. Like, who cares? I get it. It's San Jose State. You just want to block out the noise. Shut people the hell up, block out the noise, and use this as an opportunity to get better and develop. Like, this is what, your 4th game as a starting quarterback? 2 starts last year, the start this year. You played a handful of plays here and there last year as well. You just want to get better and develop. Use this game as an opportunity to do that, to develop, to get better, to hit on throws you're supposed to hit on. This game will help you be a different quarterback at the end of the year than you were against Ohio State. That's always the goal, right? You'd rather be much better at the end of the year than the start of the year. So use this game to help you do that. I think that's the main key. Use this game to develop, shut people up. They're going to keep talking. So then block out the noise and just keep getting better and better and better and let your play do the talking. So those are my main keys. Make throws you're supposed to make. Clean up the areas that you struggled with last week. Hitting a few deep throws. And then just shut people up and use this game to develop and get better. If you're a Texas fan, let me know your thoughts, though, in the comments below. What do you want to see from Arch against San Jose State? Give me your thoughts in the comments below if you are a Texas fan. If you're San Jose State, throw the whole kitchen sink at Texas and Arch and see if you can stop them, right? All right, let's go ahead and talk one more kind of deeper game dive just because we got a lot of Arkansas fans here. So let's go ahead and talk about Taylon Green. Let's talk about 3 keys or 3 areas that you want to see against Arkansas State. What's the main theme for success for Arkansas against Arkansas State, especially Taylon Green? Or what do you want to see? You should have success. You shouldn't have to have all these themes to have success. You're that much better. But what do you want to see? Because this is Arkansas State Super Bowl, and they've got a pretty decent quarterback of their own in Jalen Raynor. He has the potential to be one of the better G5 quarterbacks. So you don't want to keep them in the game. You want to use this game to develop and don't slip up, right? So the first thing I want to see from Taylon Green is I want to see them get off to a fast start. I'm hoping that fast start can lead to consistency, and you want to avoid having a slow start. You want to avoid keeping Arkansas State in the game and give them some momentum, right? Like avoid the start you had last year against UAB. Was it UAB last year? It was a fairly slow start. You pulled away at the end of the game. You don't want to be up only by a touchdown going in the fourth quarter. I want to be up by 3 or 4. Right, so I think getting off to a fast start and being consistent. See, I want to see a full game of Taylon Green. I don't want to see spurts or a good first quarter and a good third quarter. I want to see a good 4 quarters or a good 3.5 quarters before they put in the backups. That's what I want to see, right? Not just bits and pieces. I don't want Arkansas State to stick around. So how do they not stick around? Well, get off to a fast start and be consistent. Key number 2. I want to keep improving on areas, and there's a few areas I want to improve on that can help with that consistency. But the first area is I don't want to hold on the ball too long here. Only 3 starting quarterbacks in the SEC last year held on to the ball longer than Taylon Green. That was Noah Sellers, Marcel Reed, and then Brock Vandergrift. And Reed and Sellers are great athletes. Green's a great athlete. Most of the time, athletic quarterbacks, like we talked about earlier, are going to hold on the ball a bit longer. That's fine as long as it doesn't have a negative impact, but it tended to because last year there's only one quarterback in the SEC who was at fault for sacks more than Green. That was Quinn Ewers, right? So you want to avoid these sacks. You want to continue to get the ball. You want to get the ball out quickly. Avoid these like back-breaking sacks, especially against Arkansas State. And the last key, and hopefully this is the case, you don't want to take hits. You want to rush. You want to run as least as possible if you're Taylon Green, right? Save the hits for later on in the season. You're going to need to run the ball. You're going to need to take some hits. You're going to need to scramble to have the season you want to have. But hopefully not against Arkansas State. Right, so now if the game doesn't go how you want it to go, if the game's a dogfight, and hopefully it's not, but we've seen Pittman, Arkansas teams be in a dogfight against lesser quality teams in the fourth quarter. So if it's a dogfight, you're probably gonna have to run. But hopefully the first keys we talked about, you improving on getting rid of the ball, you're not taking bad sacks, you're getting off to a fast start and being consistent. Hopefully that puts you in a position where you don't have to run very much here. But if you're an Arkansas fan, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you want to see from Taylon Green? What do you want to see from Arkansas in general? What are your keys against Arkansas State for Taylon Green and for Arkansas in general? Okay, so we got a few more games. We're going to hit on. Mizzou and Kansas. Let's hit on Mizzou, Kansas, Bama, ULM, Auburn, Ball State, Vandy, Va Tech, LSU, La Tech. We still got a bunch, right? Now we're not going to do deep breakdowns like we did prior, but let's hit on these real quick. So Mizzou and Kansas. Bo Pribula. I think starting off, you want to get him comfortable, get him running the ball. I want to test them early. If I'm Pribula, if I'm Mizzou, I don't think they faced a real offense. They faced Fresno State. They don't have the ability to hit you deep like you have here, Mizzou, and they face Wagner. This is Kansas' first game traveling after playing 2 games already. So I want to hit them early. I want to test them deep. And then depending what you think about Kansas, if Kansas' offense is actually that good, you may have to demonstrate your full offense to win. I think this could be a really close game. But starting off, if I'm Pribula, if I'm Mizzou, I want to hit them early. I want to really test them early to see how good they actually are. All right, let's go Bama, ULM. Actually, no, let's go Vandy, Va Tech. That's a bigger game. Vandy, Va Tech. I thought Va Tech's defense looked pretty good against South Carolina. South Carolina made some big plays. They have a home run hitter at quarterback, and he hit some home runs on the ground and especially in the air, actually, in that deep ball to Nick Harbor. So if you're Pavia, can you be more consistent than South Carolina's offense to beat Va Tech? Can you have sustained drives? I don't think you can rely on the home run threats like South Carolina can rely on. So if you're Pavia, I think in order to beat Va Tech, being consistent, staying on the field, not having to rely on the home run threats to win. Okay, Bama, ULM. Let's talk about Ty Simpson briefly. Can Ty Simpson bounce back? This is a good bounce back game. It's ULM, one of the worst teams in all of college football. Sorry, ULM, but it's true. I still pull for you, though. I got some Louisiana blood in me. But Simpson did show some good things, but graded pretty poorly. I think he was our second lowest graded quarterback, SEC quarterback in week 1. I want him to push the ball downfield. especially against ULM. It was, 5.9 yards per attempt against Florida State. I want to see you push the ball downfield. I want to see you make better reads, be more on time, run the offense a bit better. I want to see you out of the fourth quarter, or out of the game in the fourth quarter, because it's 47-3, right? That's what I want to see if I'm an Alabama fan. I want to see you bounce back. Here, let's go ahead. Auburn versus Ball State. I don't want to see Jackson Arnold run the ball that much. I know he can run. I know he's good. I know in big games he's probably going to have to run to win. I want to see the passing game be developed more and more. He graded very highly last week because of his running ability, so I'm going to see the passing game develop. Let's talk about LSU La Tech briefly. What I want to see from Garrett Nussmeier against La Tech, not much. I want to see you out in the third quarter. I don't want this to be a letdown game. It's a huge game, and I have LSU blood in me, and so if you're an LSU fan, you'll understand this. A lot of times LSU can have these like letdown games after a big game. I don't want to see that. I want Nuss out in the third quarter. I want it to be 41-2. Give me a safety for La Tech, and I want Nuss out in the fourth quarter there. Okay, so we hit on all these games, right? We got Texas. We got A&M. We're not talking Georgia. We hit Ole Miss, Kentucky. Not talking Tennessee, right? FCS opponents. We hit Mizzou. We hit Florida. We hit Arkansas. Not talking South Carolina. They're playing South Carolina State. We hit LSU, Mississippi State, OU, Auburn, Vandy, and Alabama. So if you're an SEC fan, you enjoyed this content, please like the video, share, subscribe. It helps us grow. We're going to be talking SEC quarterbacks, giving these previews and breakdowns throughout the entire season. So please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. We have recap videos coming up after week 2, Sunday morning. So stay tuned. We'll see you next time. Peace.